The pitter-patter of the rain hitting the roof and the occasional thunder were the only sounds heard throughout the castle, until, click, the sound of an echoing shoe clicked against the stone floors, which echoed loudly through the castle's east halls. Who could be walking the halls at this time of night? Crack. There it was again, the sound of another shoe striking the cold stone floor. Click. The sounds of the steps were getting closer, causing him to stir in his sleep. Crack. The bedroom was dark. The only source of light came from some random bolts of lightning. Click. The sound of another echoing shoe woke the boy suddenly from his sleep. Crack. Slowly, he sat up and looked at the door that was lit up by a flash of lightning. Click. Another step caused his heart to beat faster and his breath to quicken. Crack. The steps were getting closer to his door. Surely it was just one of the castle maids doing some late-night chores. Click. He could feel his pounding heart raising in his throat, making it hard to breathe. Click. The step was right outside the door. He sat rigid in his bed, clenching the covers, waiting for another step, but none came. "Beware," whispered a ghostly voice of a woman. His heart stopped dead. That was not the voice of any maid he knew. There was a long, tense silence before the sound of the footsteps faded away. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Taking a huge breath, he raised his death grip from the covers. Surely it was an overactive imagination playing tricks on him. As he wiggled his way back under the warm covers, the loud clap of thunder followed by a shrill scream of a woman pierced the air, making him jump. Becoming anxious, he slid out of bed and silently tiptoed to the door. Slowly, he turned the brass doorknob and inched open the door as it let out a soft creak. Hesitantly, looking out to the hallway, everything seemed calm. Several lights gave off a soft glow, and the rain beat against the large windows. Slipping out of the door, the boy quietly walked down the hall, his eyes constantly darting about while his heart thundered as loudly as the storm outside. His panicked mind began to recall the ghost stories his grandfather would tell him late at night about the castle's ghost. The story was about the original owner of the castle, a beautiful young woman who was hated and desired throughout the city for her evil doings. She controlled everything, from the highest priest to the lowest peasant. If anyone displeased her, she would have them executed the next day. As she aged, she began to realize what a monster she truly was. Eaten with despair and loneliness, every night she would walk up and down the hallways of the East Wing, where her memories would appear as shadows and torment her. One night, as she walked, a storm raged outside, and the shadows yelled and screamed around her, blaming her for the death and destruction of so many innocent people. In an attempt to free herself from the shadows, she ignored the storm and stepped out into the East Wing balcony. Unable to escape from the horrid shadows, she threw herself off the balcony. After her death, every stormy night she would return to the East Wing and slowly walk up and down the halls, warning those she could about the evil shadow of the past that still lurked in the dark corners of the castle. The story had always made him think of his father. His father had many similarities to this woman from the story. They both possessed much power and would abuse it for their own good, not caring who they hurt. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the hallway just long enough for the boy to catch a glimpse of the shadowy figure running across the hall. His stomach clenched, and his heart jumped to his throat. Surely it was just more of his wild imagination playing games with him. However, that thought was quickly dispelled with the menacing laugh that echoed through the hallways. His body became covered with goosebumps and the hairs on his arms stood straight. His eyes darted around the hallway and he noticed everything was becoming red. Another flash of lightning allowed him to see that the rain was no longer clear, but now a color of crimson. Backing away from the window in horror, he grasped as something brushed his shoulder. Whipping around his eyes, widely looked for what had touched him. Suddenly, the lights began to flicker on and off as another menacing laugh echoed down the halls. Turning to run down the hall, a large, dark figure stopped him. It was the shape of a person with the wicked smile as its only feature. "The past is doomed to repeat itself," it hissed as it slowly began moving towards him. His eyes widened in horror. He turned and ran the other way down the hall. As he rounded the corner into another hallway, the figure was there, waiting on him with the wicked grin still showing. Still trying to escape the terror in front of him, he turned and ran towards the east balcony in a futile attempt to escape the shadow. Throwing the door open, he ran out into the balcony, where he was pelted by the rain, and lightning struck all around. At the edge of the balcony stood a ghastly pale woman who gave off a faint glow. Her blonde hair was unaffected by the gale, and her eyes stared blankly at him. Gasping, he tried to turn around, but the shadow blocked his path. "Pathetic creatures," the shadow hissed through its smile. "You are all doomed to repeat the past. Even the innocent will suffer." Slowly he backed up against the balcony's low railing. "You will pay for the mistakes of others," it yelled as a large lightning bolt struck the ground, causing the earth to shake. Losing his balance, he tumbled backwards over the railing.